Welcome back to another guide by Tactical Knowledge for the upcoming online cup, the Tiny Tourney. For this team lineup, my partner Flutters has given me a list of Pokemon that he thought were going to be used in singles, but can still work in the doubles format of the online competition. This team lineup is one I like to call the Shield and Sword team. So with our second team lineup, the Shield and Sword team, we're going to be taking a look at Pokemon that my channel partner Flutters has decided to choose for this lineup. And for most of this lineup, while it is geared mostly towards singles, they can still be run in a doubles format. Simply because of how they operate, they can still work in doubles, and regardless of whether or not what abilities really they are using. But for this, we're going to be starting off this team roster with Rotom. I can't believe I'm getting these names mixed up already. But in any case, we're going to be looking at Rotom because of its very interesting combination of electric and water type natures. Now, Rotom has been very popular alongside Heatrotom, but we're going to be looking at Rotom for its water type nature as well as various attacks. We're going to be looking at, for Rotom, we're going to be looking at maybe like Shockwave, Electro Ball, or even Discharge to work with, maybe even Thunder Wave. But we're also going to be looking at moves such as Hydro Pump perhaps. I think maybe it does learn Hydro Pump, not sure if it does now. No, it doesn't look like it learns Hydro Pump, but it does still learn moves such as Volt Switch, Will-O-Wisp, Pain Split. I believe it still knows Pain Split. Does not look like it knows Page Strip, but it does have the access to the move Trick, which if people want to make use of, they can make use of this move Trick to transfer an item from Rotom to whatever chosen target they want. And they can really make use of that by giving Rotom something really something really damaging, such as a Toxic Orb or a Flame Orb for those physical attacking Pokemon, or those Pokemon that aren't, fire types or poison types, depending on what they want to run. Or they can even give it a Choice Scarf to make use of, or give it some extra speed, as well as force that Choice Scarf onto a Pokemon that, wants to set up, and force it into a setup, and, force it to switch out because it's stuck setting up and it can't attack. So that can backfire though if you do that, so you might want to be careful with moves such as that. But our next Pokemon we're going to be looking at is going to be Chandeleur. Now, Chandeleur is probably one of the very few fully evolved Pokemon that's allowed in this competition, and for its dual type nature, I talked about it before in my other guide. Its Ghost and Fire typing gives it multiple weaknesses, but it does compensate for that by having a very powerful special attack. A 145 special attack is very devastating for opponents to really handle against. You don't get many very strong special attackers besides Chandeleur for this online competition. And we're going to be looking at, since it doesn't learn a lot of moves leveling up, we're going to be looking at a lot of the moves it can learn either through egg moves or through TM. So we're going to be keeping moves such as Pain Split probably for, to gain some health back in case we take some damage. But we're mostly going to be looking at Flamethrower or Fire Blast, add some oomph to our Chandeleur. We're also going to be looking at Energy Ball to deal with those tricky Pokemon that have a grass type weakness, but not like an electric type weakness, such as Rotom, for example. So that can be very effective. We can also make use of Will-O-Wisp as well, and we can also go for moves such as, I believe, Shadow Ball. Yeah, Shadow Ball for stab damage as well. So those are probably going to be your main moves. We could also make use of Heat Wave if we want to. We could also go for Clear Smog, or maybe even Acid Armor, give us some extra damage. Or even Haze if we want to, give those Pokemon that are trying to set up, such as EVM Boost or EVMZ Boosts, and shut those down as well. So that should be my suggestion as well for this team Pokemon. Our next Pokemon we're going to be looking at is probably one of the most popular, will be the most popular. It's going to be Kartana. So Kartana is a very, very dangerous Ultra Beast. It's probably the only Ultra Beast allowed in this format simply because it's the smallest. But because it's the only Ultra Beast, it's also one of the most dangerous Ultra Beasts in this format. It's actually the only Ultra Beast, but it's probably the most dangerous Pokemon you'll encounter. It's got a really high speed stat of 109. It's probably got the strongest physical attack of 181. And a really strong defensive stat at 131. But where Kartana falters is its specials. Its special attack and special defense, in which it only has a 31 in special defense. It will not take much to knock down if it goes up against a special attacker. But the Beast Boost will give it some really strong, stats if it starts to snowball. So for Kartana, we're going to be looking at moves such as Sacred Sword. We're going to be looking at that. We can also go with the, I believe, Night Slash and Leaf Blade, just common moves that Kartana could work with. We could also run an X Scissor if we want to really go for attacks, go for some extra damage. Or we can even go with Psycho Cut. That's a very popular move that's really could make use of, that Kartana can make use of. And most people will not be expecting Psycho Cut, so that is one possible move that people can make use of. But that's only for my suggestion, so take it as you will. Now for our next Pokemon, it's going to be a really popular one for doubles. It's going to be Klefki. Klefki, similar to Meowstic Male, has the ability Prankster. Now once again, Prankster will, add some, priority to its status moves, and with a pretty good set of stats, pretty average stats such as 91 with the defense, 87 with the special defense, 80 with special attack, and a decent speed stat, it can actually do quite a lot of work. It's actually very dangerous in the right hand. So we're going to be looking at moves such as Fairy Lock to lock our opponents in, prevent them from switching out or something. I believe that is how it works. Actually, let me quickly look it up. Yeah, it prevents all Pokemon on the field from fleeing during the turns. So that's one move we could use to prevent Pokemon from, trying to get out. We can also use the Crafty Shield to act as a sort of quick guard for our team to protect against stat or priority moves. We can also make use of we can also go for the classic Thunder Wave Swagger combo. Paralyze our opponents, swagger them, force them to have a really hard time trying to make any moves. That combo isn't as effective nowadays, but it can still be very dangerous. And if we want to just deal some damage, we can go with either a Flash Cannon or a Dazzling Gleam, depending on which way you want to go. Or you can go with Foul Play. I believe Foul Play increases it with how much damage you do, but those are just my suggestions for this Klefki. Okay, so for the next one for the Shield and Sword team, we're going to go with Eska Valliere. So Eska Valliere, similar to Kartana, has really strong attack power, has some very good defenses, unlike Kartana, and actually has a very strong special defense stat. But where Eska Valliere or where Kartana shines and Eska Valliere does not shine is the speed category. But we can make use of Eska Valliere, especially if it wants to go, or if our opponent tries to set up Trick Room, we can use Eska Valliere to really hamper such a strategy. So we can give Eska Valliere, an Assault Vest, max up our defense stats, or max up our attack stats. We can go for really strong offensive pressure, and for some damage, well, we do have some interesting stats. We have the Fell Stinger, which will increase, our stats if we knock out an opponent with that move, so increase our stats by like 2 or 3 stages. We can go for Double Edge for pure offensive power. We can also go for something like Iron Head, get some really strong steel damage. And if we want to, we can either go for like an X Scissor if we want, or we can go for something else like, say, I don't know, let's say we can go for Aerial Ace or Return. Actually, Return, yeah, sounds better. Or we can even go for Poison Jab. That's a pretty impressive move as well. Or if we're going for egg moves, we can also go for Drill Run, a really powerful ground type move if we have the opportunity to go for Drill Run. Not a lot of Pokemon are expecting, ground type moves in this, so ground type Drill Run, very dangerous, very impressive. That's one way we can go. And finally, we're gonna look at another Pokemon. Another like shield sword for this Pokemon is gonna be Doublade. And Doublade is gonna be our Eviolite Pokemon. One of our Eviolite Pokemon. For those who don't know, Eviolite will double the... I believe it increases, not double, increases the defensive stats by like 50%. So... and it only works on non-fully evolved Pokemon. So for Pokemon like Porygon 2, that is very impressive. But for Doublade, it's even more impressive because of its 150 defense stat. And with all of these really strong physically attacking Pokemon, Doublade can prove to be a very difficult opponent to deal with its Steel and Ghost type nature. And with its very impressive attack stat, it has some, really good pressure, but like Kartana, it doesn't exactly have a really strong special defense stat, only a 49. But the Eviolite will at least increase it somewhat, so our Doublade can, survive a little bit more. And for moves, we're going to go with moves such as, we're going to go for Pursuit, some priority moves, prevent Pokemon from, getting free retreats. We can also go for Shadow Sneak for some other priority stab damage. We can also go for something like Iron Head and Night Slash, to increase our offensive pressure. Or we can just, strap on, protect, give it some extra damage. But Doublade also gets access to Brutal Swing, a new type of attack that was released in Generation 7. Very impressive move we can actually use that for. Or we can even just go for a Gyro Ball. Take advantage of Doublade's very slow speed stat, as well as its steel typing stab damage. We can go for that. Or we can even go for a Rock Slide if we want to do something like that. So those are my suggestions for this Shield and Sword team lineup that we can go for. We're going to have Wash Rotom, we can have Chandeleur, we can have Kartana, probably one of the strongest competitors. We're going to have to be very careful about that. Klefki for those as well, for some supporting stats and such. Eska Valliere for some offensive pressure, Assault Vest as well. And our Eviolite Pokemon, Doublade. So that's the team lineup I'm gonna go with and gonna suggest to you guys. You can, swap out team members as you see fit. But I hope you guys enjoyed this team lineup. Tell me what you guys think about it, and if you have your own suggestions for team lineups, by all means, comment down below. I'll see you tacticians next time. Bye bye!